I've got the story After the Fall, How Humpty Dumpty Got Back Up Again by Dan Santat. I'm going to show you exactly what questions to ask your kids while you're reading the story together so that you're getting the most out of reading comprehension. And these themes developed in the book, which are overcoming fear and anxiety, facing trauma, courage, resilience and perseverance, taking small steps, growth mindset, transformation, changing your identity, and personal evolution. So this is what happens after Humpty Dumpty fell off the wall. So this is immediately after Humpty Dumpty is leaving the hospital. He has been put back together by the king's men. First question, integrate visual information. What does the illustration tell us about Humpty that the words don't? Okay, so I covered it up, but this is a bunk bed. I didn't think about where to put my Post-it notes. So Humpty Dumpty used to sleep on a bunk bed, but now he is sleeping on a floor. So that visual illustration tells us that he used to sleep in a bunk bed. He used to sleep up high, but now he doesn't because he's sleeping on the floor because he's now afraid of heights. And the words don't say that. You only get that because you see the bunk bed and you see Humpty Dumpty sleeping on the floor. Adding to that visual information, you see a bunch of pictures of birds that Humpty Dumpty drew. So he likes birds. Those are things that are high up in the air. So kind of showing you that he used to like being high up, but now he can't. He's traumatized. Next question, interpret words and phrases. Which words or phrases help us understand what is happening? Okay, so down here, it doesn't tell us explicitly that now Humpty Dumpty is afraid of heights because he's been scarred from the trauma of falling off of the wall and breaking himself. It says, the words say, there were some parts that couldn't be bandaged with, healed with bandages and glue. So that tells us that he has experienced a trauma, something that cannot be fixed with bandage and glue like the rest of him, but it is still greatly impacting his day-to-day. The parts of him that couldn't be fixed with bandages and glue, AKA now he has a fear of heights and he is still suffering from this trauma, even though like on the outside, it looks like he's totally well. On the inside, he's totally changed. And we get that through these words down here. So lots to interpret here with the words that don't say directly what you need, what the message is, and the illustration kind of fills it all in. Okay, so next question, central idea. What is Humpty Dumpty's problem and what does he want to do? Okay, so his problem is that now he has a crippling fear of heights. He has to overcome this fear. He has to overcome the anxiety. He now has a new trauma that he has to get through. And he's not able to enjoy things because of it. On the previous page, his favorite cereals are on the top aisle. He cannot get to them because he is afraid of heights. So that is his problem. He's got a fear. He has an anxiety that he has to overcome. And it's keeping him from parts of his life that he used to enjoy. He's afraid to enjoy things that he used to like because that is his trauma. Okay, so here's a couple pages. He's coping with his problem. He makes a paper bird and he's gonna fly the paper bird. Okay, character development. How does Humpty cope with his trauma at first? So he sees the birds flying and he's like, I can make a paper bird, like a paper airplane. So this is like his first attempt to, at experiencing and enjoying something that he used to experience all the time and enjoy. He's like, I'll just make a paper bird and I'll fly it and I will enjoy heights in that way. And he makes a bird and it's successful and he's really happy at first. Okay. So this is like a baby step into coping with his fear and a baby step into starting to enjoy things that he used to enjoy. But the paper bird lands on top of the wall. Next question, integrate visual information. What detail can the illustrator show better with pictures than with words? Why is the paper airplane so small? Okay, so the words on this page only say they always do. But what detail can the illustrator show us better with words, better with pictures than with words? And that is how tall the wall feels to Humpty Dumpty. Why is that plane so high? It's perspective. So it's supposed to represent like how ridiculously high it is. So the illustration shows us like, that does look kind of scary, like that perspective. The plane's really small, the ladder gets really narrow at the top. So it's supposed to make it feel really tall, really high, really scary, really up there. And that is shown through the picture, not the words. So it kind of shows us like, oh, it's up there. This is scary. That's a scary height. That's really high up there. And that is where Humpty Dumpty decides, okay, I've got to climb the wall again because his paper airplane's up there. He's scared. His hand is shaking as he's going up the ladder. This is where we get into the themes of baby steps, one step at a time. Character development. Next question, character development. What was the turning point for Humpty? When did he learn something new? The turning point was when he found himself in a situation that he kind of didn't have a choice, but he needed to face his fear of height. His plane was stuck up there, and I guess he could have given up and just go built another plane, but his plane flew up there and he was like, I have to go get it and I have to climb the ladder to do this. And he took baby steps up the ladder and he made it up the ladder to get his plane, and he kind of, through exposure therapy, I guess, he lost his fear of heights by just tackling it head on and going up the ladder in a situation where he kind of had no other choice. So the turning point was him. He was put in a situation where it's like either give up and go home or climb the ladder and face your fears. When did he learn something new? He learned something new when he made it up the ladder, and he realized that with taking baby steps, he could do it, and he can still enjoy heights exactly the way he used to enjoy heights. Okay, and at the top of the wall, he starts to crack again. And you never think about this, but Humpty Dumpty's a bird in an egg, and he hatches into a bird and he flies away. Last question, central idea. What has Humpty Dumpty and the reader learned by the end of the story? Okay, Humpty Dumpty learned that even though he was put back together on the outside, he still had trauma on the inside that kept him from enjoying his life to the fullest. So he learned that, like, just because everything is okay on the outside, I gotta put everything together on the inside, otherwise, like, I'm still not myself. So that's where it comes with the themes of like facing trauma and overcoming fear and anxiety and those like invisible things you have to do to fix yourself. He also learned resilience and perseverance and how to take small steps, which also gets into growth mindset. So the first step he took was making that airplane. The second step he took was when he slowly went up the ladder, and finally he experienced like a bit of a transformation, a personal evolution when he finally got to the top of the ladder and he had officially overcome his fear of heights. Not only did he officially overcome his fear of heights, but he literally hatched and turned into a bird. So he is completely transformed through facing these fears. And that is everything in After the Fall by Dan Santat.